So if you can talk us through the framework that you've built out now based on that experience, and tell us a little bit more about the 4 Ps that you have and how you've implemented that now in your practice. What was your focus in training your staff members using that framework?
So the 4 Ps that I have created is prepare, process, prove, pack. Let me explain to you, okay? What I mean by prepare is like before you do any job, like for example, if you give a job to your staff to do, they have to prepare really well. Like they have to understand which client they do, who is the client, what industry they're in, what entity they have, what's the group structure, have you got all the information, look at last year's financial, understand the balance sheet, profit and loss. Like they really understand what is this client about, and they really know the outcome, what they have to do. Like for example, I have to prepare, I have to finish with a BAS or a tax return or financial account. They have very clear outcome. They also got the job brief from the manager, and they also got the instruction of how to do this work from start to finish. They already got the whole picture. The reason I have this is it's actually come from my own experience, because when I first started with Whole, I started with I'm not experienced, and then it was so hard for me to put everything together. Like they just teach me one thing at the time, and I can't figure it out how to put it together. And then I also realized that when I hire my staff, if I give them job by job, if I train them job by job basis, I can't get the result because they're just sitting there and I have to spoon feeding them. Like they will just come to me, Eng, what do I do next? And then I was busy. I have to serve the client. I have to get the client on board, and so many things running accounting practice. I don't have time to sit down and really explaining to them well. And then I become really frustrated and I get mad at them. I got angry. And then the more I shouting or whatever, the more they get scared and I can't get the result. So anyway, when I take the time off to train them properly and explain to them how the job works from start to finish, really focus on that, I actually got the result. Because they are graduate, they're very smart, they get it. So I tell them with any task, you must prepare really well. You have to plan really well. You have to know what you're doing. You have to know all this client. You have to know group structure they have, so that when the money flows into the business or goes out, you know what entity they go to, like it's related entity or whatever. So the preparation stage is very important, and normally they spend a lot of time on that. And then after they got everything, after they understand everything, now to process the job, it's not hard. They just sit down. It will take very quickly because they know from start, they know all the step-by-step process. In order to just follow the step-by-step, they're breaking up into little tasks, one task, tick it up, and just go on and on. So to process, it doesn't take long, but the preparation stage normally takes longer. I always say, get all the information first. Otherwise, you're going to be, halfway through and you say, I'm missing this. And then you have to stop the work, get the information from the client. The job will sit there for 2-3 weeks. And by the time you pick it up again, you forgot where you're up to. And it's not the way that we will work, and it's not efficient. And the process is going to be very slow. After they process it, and I say to them, after you process it, you complete it, you tick off all the checklists, you finish the job. Now you have to get someone, your manager or your supervisor, to verify, to prove, and you have to get the clients to prove that this is right. This is what they agree. And then after you prove it, that it's all good, now it's good to go. Then you pack the job and then you deliver the product, and then you will have a happy client. So the job is not going to go backward and forward. So you follow the framework, and for every task that you do, you just follow the framework and do exactly this framework, and you're not going to get it wrong. So that's how I training them, and that's how I create this framework for all the tasks that I'm teaching them. And for them, once they get it, I can give them any work. I can give them any job to do, and I don't have to go and tell them like, what do you have to do first? What do you have to do next? They automatically follow the step-by-step system that I create, the procedures, and then they can self-started and self-feeding and not spoon-feeding them, if you know what I mean. If you're spoon-feeding them, it's going to be nightmare because you don't have the time, and you might tell them the wrong thing and they might understood wrongly. And when they make a mistake, you're wasting time, you're wasting cost, wasting everything, and everyone is unhappy. I'm not happy, they're not happy, and the self-confidence level will drop if they keep making mistake and they don't know what they're doing, they're nervous. Because the thing is, like, I believe if we can build up the confidence on our people, they can do amazing things. Like if you empowering them and encouraging them and give them the right way, give them the system, give them the procedure, procedures step by step to work on, and really take the time to explain things to them. They're not stupid because they are graduate from uni. They got their degree. Like, to me, it's a big thing.
Well, and I guess too, when they have an interest in the industry, then they've already overcome a hurdle. They have an eagerness to learn, and it's just about finding a way that encourages them to learn, and giving that context is something that we talk about a lot here at Wize. Without the context, you often have people who don't understand the process and the why, so it won't come out correct at the other end. But if we can give that context and encouraging them to have an inquiring mind in the preparation phase, then, as you say, they should be able to get through the process fairly easily because they understand the elements required to get the work done, whether it's in bookkeeping or accounting space. It can cross over really well.
Yeah, 100%. That is exactly right. Because the thing is, like, they already got, for the accountant, they already got the theory behind them. They already know that. And all we have to do is just try to teach them how to apply the theory to the practice. And they are very smart. Sometimes my staff can pick up things like actually missed it, if you know what I mean. And because they understood, and they can also self-checking, self-correcting. And when you just mentioned, like, I don't really have to go and point out the mistake. I just say, hey, you do it this way. Do you think it's right? Have a look again. Do you think this number is right? Have you really considered this and that? I just don't tell them the answer. I just tell them, look at it again. Have a look again. And then they're, oh, sorry, Eng, I make a mistake here. That's fine. I mean, it's very powerful that they can see their own mistake and not I telling them they make the mistake. Because I tell them, they might be able to remember this time. Next time, I have to tell them again. They can't remember. But if it's self-checking, self-correcting, it's very powerful because then they remember. And so that's how I taught my staff. And that's why they get a very good result. And most of our staff just self-started. And we have very good step-by-step process for them to follow.
So if you think to those of us in the room as practice owners and client managers, how did you do it when you were wearing all the hats? How did you find time to build your framework and take your staff through it?
Okay, so basically it's what Ad say, the balance sheet focus. It's how the time management, the quadrant 2 stuff. Okay, I'll just give you one example. Like, for example, how to prepare the business activity statement. See how I break up into my framework, like prepare, process, verification. And when you look at each column, it's not much. So what they do, they have to concentrate in one column, like do the preparation, understand the client, getting information, get the checklist, get the information, then they process. How do they process step by step? And then how do they check, list, and review? And then how do we send it? So when you break it up, everything into like a 4 quadrant, it just becomes easier. So that's just one of the example. And then now coming back to Kristy's question about how do I find time to create all this framework? Like, to me, it's quadrant 2 stuff that Ad always talking about is like balance sheet. Like, if I can spend more time on doing all this, creating all this framework and all that, it's just going to give back more hours to me and the client manager. And it's going to be less mistake. Like, people follow the system, follow the step by step. It's going to be less mistake to be made. And you don't have to handle with the quadrant 1 all the time, the crisis, the mistake, the urgency, and things like that. This is what I learned from Ad. Ad is our mentor. And he always say, Eng, focus on the balance sheet. Whenever I sort of say, it's wasting time for me to train them to do this. And I'd rather just do it myself. Like, sometimes, even I know, but sometimes I have that feel like it's just quicker for me to do. But then when I stop back and then think, I said, no, this is not going to be a long-term thing. If I keep doing that, then how am I going to get out from the business? How I'm going to have the life? How I'm going to have the time to travel and do what I like? I always say, Ad, I want to be like you. So if you want to be like me, why you keep going back to your way? Anyway, designing a framework is not a wasting time. It's a very important task, but it's not urgent. But if you can spend time of doing that and also training staff as well, it's not wasting time. It's an investment because their staff employee to us is an asset. And if we can invest on them and spend more time, and we're going to get the reward because they'll be working for you and they'll be making money for you. And then you can have the life, you can have the time because we all have the same time. We all have 24 hours and life is very short. I'm also getting old now. I don't have much left. Like, what I mean is like the going forward. So this is very important. This is now that I spend most of my time now on this stuff, creating system, procedures and training process and all that. And I enjoy it because I love teaching and I enjoy all this stuff too. I don't know why I become an accountant, but I really like the designing, the creating and all this. I think it's in me. It is really enjoy it. So did I answer your question, Kristy?
Yeah, look, that's great. That's really wonderful to hear and definitely always nice to see it come back to our quadrants.